and welcome you all to our third session of Health Talk with me. And today we have a very interesting guest with us, Dr. Dhaval Bhatt. He is the GM of Clinical Operations at Kokilaben Dhirubhai Ambani Hospital. And we're just waiting for him to join us. Hello everyone, thank you for joining in. Dr. Dhaval should be here with us any minute. He's just joining in. Yes, hi Dr. Dhaval Bhatt. He's here. Just waiting for him to get added. Hi Dr. Dhaval Bhatt.
Hi, how are you? Sorry, I'm
Of
in all
course
my
we can't
PPs here.
see. Yes, you're fully covered in your PPE. Well, for all those who
So, how
can't
are
see
you
him,
all?
he looks very handsome otherwise, but you can't see him just now.
Correct, correct. No, there's lot of infections around, so we need to be
Yes,
careful.
I'm sure. And thank you for doing such a fabulous job for all of us. And KDH, of course, has been one of the front warriors for COVID. So we get all the news about KDH, and you're doing a great job. Thank you.
Oh, thank you all. It's all encouraging to hear all this.
So should we start with some questions? I've already had some questions that have come into us, and of course, as our viewers are looking, and they can keep sending us the questions, whatever they keep thinking of. And meanwhile, we can get started.
Sure, we can do that.
So of course we can see your entire protective gear that you've been using. So what is the kind of situation with respect to COVID with at KDA right now?
So, like most Mumbai hospitals, no, we are finding that, COVID cases had been increasing. Of late,
Yes,
say maybe a week or so, there has been a slight decline in
oh
the
lovely.
requirement for the COVID beds. I would not
Okay.
say that it is actually related that the COVID infection may have gone down, but the requirement of beds is definitely coming down. So more and more
That's good
people
to
are
hear. That's very good to hear.
so more people are getting home quarantined. More people have started, taking precautions and stuff like that. So this whole lockdown period has helped us to sensitize people
Right.
towards hand hygiene, towards wearing your face mask. So
Yes.
somewhere or the other, it is helping.
Yes. And so people are now aware that they should first initially at least quarantine at home only if complications and comorbidities, then they should approach a hospital, not otherwise.
Correct. That is maybe a right approach. We are also learning every day.
Yes.
So what we are seeing is if you require hospitalization, do not delay it. And if you
Yes.
do not require, then do not unnecessarily get hospitalized.
Right, right. Yeah, to save the beds for the people who require it really.
Correct.
So, everybody has queries about, like, nobody's really clear about how does one go about with a hospital admission if one does require to. Like, if somebody does have an underlying comorbidity and somebody needs immediate attention, what is the exact process for a hospital admission in these times?
So when it comes to hospital admission, government has clearly laid down some guidelines. So first and foremost, it states that if you get symptoms which is clearly defined like fever, cold, cough, sore throat, body
Yes.
ache, or headache, or if it is sometimes diarrhea, some people get chest pain, or some atypical symptoms, then you should get yourself tested first. So once your testing gets done, generally it takes around 12 to 24 hours, anywhere between the two, this period, to know your status. Once you know your status that you are positive,
Yes.
then the report automatically now goes to the government, and then now they are allotting beds directly to the patient through our BMC wards.
Right.
And in case you develop emergency or a complication, then you can rush to any of the COVID hospitals
Hmm.
and they definitely will try to accommodate if they have beds, or they try to make alternate arrangements.
Okay, so they do kind of stabilize the patient if there is any kind of
Yes, yes,
emergency, and they will do the needful required then, whether it's in their own
definitely they will.
hospital bed or wherever required.
Yes, yes, yes.
And so, what is the exact? I mean, protocol. So, do you first call? Does the patient call the BMC first, or does he first go in for a private testing?
So the patient only needs to get himself tested. They don't need to call anywhere now. Unlike, previously there was 1916 number
Right,
where you need to call once you are tested positive and all. But this
right.
was creating a lot of chaos. But our municipal commissioner, who is Mr. Iqbal Chahel, so he has done a very good job that, directly the report goes to the BMC and they get a line list of all the positive tested patient, and
Okay,
from morning 8 o'clock, the patient receives a call from BMC himself or herself,
okay,
and they will then allot the beds. So you
okay.
don't need to run anywhere. You just get yourself tested and be at home.
Then everything is aligned by the BMC, and they take care of bed allotment and all of that.
Yes,
Do
yes.
that? Does the
But if
person
there
get
is
a choice of
emergency,
hospitals?
yeah, you can give a choice of your hospital. So when you speak to this BMC health officials, they are mainly our third year or fourth year MBBS students. So if you
Okay,
speak to them, and they will explain you that in your area this hospital bed is available.
okay,
Sometimes you have a choice. You can also tell that, and they also try to get a bed of your choice also at many times.
okay. So you can take a preference in the kind of hospital that one wants.
Correct, correct. You can try, but sometimes you may not get. So
Of
that's
course, whatever is
up to the
available,
available.
then finally it becomes that. But they do give you a choice.
They do give you a choice.
Okay. So much the kind of guidelines for testing have been changing repeatedly. So one, if you can just throw
Correct.
some light about the kind of testing that is there, what are the different modes of testing, what are the different kinds of tests that are available, and how does one go about doing it?
So, we gradually evolved into this testing scenario for COVID. So, COVID, everybody needs to understand it's a virus. And in virus, either you test the DNA or the RNA of the virus. So,
Right.
this coronavirus, the best or the gold standard to test, which is we call as RT-PCR. RT-PCR is a test where you detect directly the RNA of the virus. And then that's a throat swab, which most of us, have been seeing on television and all. So that
Right.
was the first test to come to all of us, and we started testing the patients. So initially there were a lot of guidelines, a lot of restrictions. You required prescription. You had to be having certain symptoms. Then only they would do the testing. But of
Right.
late, if I'm not wrong, since mid of June, government has revised the guideline and the
Yes.
testing is open for all. So you can
Yeah.
actually walk in and do a testing. No need for any prescription or anything.
No need for
But
prescriptions. Yes.
yeah. So then now there are many tests which have come, so people get sometimes confused. What are they? So like the first I told you is RT-PCR, which is RNA based polymerase chain reaction testing.
Okay.
The other testing which has come is called as antigen testing, where you test for the antigen of the virus. And the third is antibody testing. So if you want to detect active infection, whether you
Yes.
currently have infection or not, then you use either RT-PCR or antigen. RT-PCR usually takes between 12 hours to 24 hours to report, depending on the lab where you do it. An antigen test, the reports come immediately, but their false positiveness, or their specificity, I would say, is quite low. So this is where you need to be very careful. Which test do you do? And the antibody is just to know whether you have overcome the infection, and the antibodies have developed in you. So this antibody test is very useful to you in case you want to donate plasma after recovery. So if
Right.
you have sufficient antibodies, you can donate plasma.
So
So
just to go back on that.
I'll show you a small chart.
Sure.
I don't know whether it's visible or not.
You'll have to get closer. So actually, I'll share this. You can send it across to me. I'll share it
Yeah,
and put
I'll
it up
send a
as a
pic
post.
of it. So it will
Yeah,
be useful
yeah,
education
yeah.
for
I will
everyone. Yeah,
share it. It'll be good reference material for anybody who wants to refer back to it.
correct, correct.
So just to go back on the test, because most of us are laymen over here, most of people are. So if you go back to the antigen test, is
Mhm.
it a blood test or is it a swab test again?
So antigen test is a swab test and RT-PCR is a swab test. Antibody test is a blood test.
Right. So when do you do the antigen test, and when do you do the anti-PCR?
So antigen test and RT-PCR both you can do. So see, RT-PCR you can do if you are in the prodrome stage, initial stage of the disease. And if you feel, malaise, you feel fever, you feel body ache, you feel that, you have come in contact with any COVID positive patient. So to confirm means to find it out, you will first do RT-PCR. Okay, antigen test, generally what we see is if you find a patient who's come typically symptomatic of COVID, means each and every symptom is prevalent in his body, and you do RT-PCR, you will find generally it will come positive. So if RT-PCR come positive, its sensitivity is very good. So that means the person is confirmed positive in RT-PCR or antigen.
So
But if
that's more
antigen,
sensitive.
yeah, so if antigen comes negative, it doesn't mean that you are negative of COVID. You need to still repeat the RT-PCR.
Okay. Now, the antigen test is usually done in the hospital, and the first line is usually the RT-PCR test, which is done in most of the bigger laboratories and stuff.
Yeah, so RT-PCR test is not done by each and every lab. Only ICMR approved labs can do RT-PCR.
Yes.
And antigen and antibody, and even the antigen test has to be done only by the ICMR approved labs. But antibody test, any lab can do.
So those small kits that are now available, that's the antibody test.
Yeah, those are antibody test, but
The rapid
there,
kits also.
yeah, their sensitivity is very low, and that doesn't tell you the current infection.
Yes, so that's more if somebody already had a COVID infection in the body, it's later on that you get to know that the antibodies
Correct,
are active
correct.
or not.
Correct. So antibody, if it gets detected in you, that means you have already got infected and your body has created sufficient immunity to overcome it. So
So
that's
there
why
is
you
a
have
question
antibody in your
coming
blood.
in whether there is use of doing the antibody test to know there's an active infection. So of course the answer is no, that there may not be an active infection at that point in time. Probably the
Correct.
infection has already happened and the
And they
antibody
have
takes a
overcome
while
it.
to develop.
Correct. So you can feel happy about it if you have recovered, or
Yes.
you can donate your plasma, to somebody else. So that's the good
But
part of it.
so it's not a definitive parameter.
Correct. Correct.
So again, I mean, now as you said that now labs have become more open to doing any kind of testing. So now you don't need a prescription. You can just call any of the ICMR approved labs, and they will come and test you at home, take a swab, or you can go do it drive through as well.
Yes, you can
Are
do
bigger
that.
hospitals also following the same practice?
Yes, all of us are following the same practice. Those who have ICMR approved lab,
Okay.
so we are all following the same.
There is a question. What if the person had all doctors at KDA? Sorry, just a second. What if the person had all of the KDA and runs into an emergency and has a comorbidity? Will the admission be accepted?
Yeah, so if the person is comorbid, definitely falls into the high risk for COVID. And
Yes.
we do accept, means I cannot guarantee the acceptance because the beds are limited,
Right.
but we do make an attempt to accept them. And if we do not have the beds, we liaison up with the BMC and we accommodate the patient at, wherever the bed is available.
Okay. So there is no right or wrong answer right now. It just depends
Yeah,
on the
so
current
we
scenario at that point in
the
time.
the only thing is we would not shoo away the patient and say that okay, now we can't
Yes, of
accept
course.
you here.
Yes,
So
the
we will try to
stabilizing process
stabilize.
will be carried out, triage will be
Yeah,
carried out, and thereafter,
correct.
whatever needs to be done will be taken in.
It will be done.
We have another question which asks that are we in a better stage than last month this time? So I think, kind of already answered that, but if you want to just repeat that once more.
Yeah, so I feel so, we are gradually, getting to a better stage, but still it's little premature to comment because, we have not fully opened up. So
Yes.
there are quite a few people who are still home quarantined, who are, at the bottom of the pyramid, who have not actually, tested themselves, but they have quarantined. So we have still to see,
Well, I
another
feel
15 days
litmus
to one
test
month.
of Bombay will actually be when the public transport opens up. When our
Correct,
back
correct.
line, the entire train system opens up, that's what the litmus test of Mumbai is really going to be.
Definitely, that will be our litmus test.
There's one more question which asks: is it true that COVID-19 is airborne? There are a lot of articles that have now come up saying that COVID-19 has become airborne.
So WHO has now changed its opinion. Previously it used to tell us that it's a droplet infection. So
Right.
hand hygiene, washing your hands was the very important thing. But gradually now they have also realized that it is airborne. And some literature which I have read through say that up to 8 feet or up to 12 feet it can travel. So that is why it is very important to maintain this social distance as well now.
Yes.
And most of the hospital or places where these patients are admitted, we try to maintain negative pressure. So those rooms, the air of the patient will never
Doesn't
go
go
out,
out.
but outside air
Yes.
can come in. So this is a
Right.
way we try to avoid, infection in hospital also.
Yes. What is the accuracy of corona test? Is another question that has come in.
Yeah, so this RT-PCR test, no, as I was telling you, there are two aspects. Whenever you go for testing, for all lay people, there are two things. You have to ask for sensitivity and specificity. Sensitivity means that, the percentage of tests which come positive and are actually positive. That is what you call a sensitive test.
Right.
And specificity means the percentage of, tests which come negative and are actually negative. So RT-PCR has got almost close to 80-90% sensitivity as well as specificity. Means the most gold standard test today for corona.
Okay, I think that answers that question. Also, any mandates with from BMC with respect to any kind of admission or discharge and transfer of patients from one hospital to the other? What are the different processes involved? Like, supposing somebody's
Yes.
gotten a bed into one hospital, is there any scope of transfer to another hospital of choice when that bed becomes empty, or what is the entire
Yeah.
procedure like?
It's a very nice question. Recently, some 1 or 2 hours back, I was, actually solving this problem. So many patients, they get admitted into sometimes jumbo facility. Now government has created jumbo facilities, which 5,000 beds,
Right.
1,500 beds, 2,000 beds. So these are all basic facilities, where people get admitted with a moderate type of a disease of corona. But if they become worse or if they become bad, then they will require ICU. So
Right.
the first preference the government would give, or we also give, is to this people who become worse, who are requiring ventilation, who are requiring dialysis, who are requiring some or the other type of, critical care support. So for them, the request keeps on coming from BMC that, if you have ICU, like our hospital is the largest, maybe the private sector ICU which we have given. So there we try to accommodate them. So the transfer request also comes through BMC only. Direct request from patients and all, it becomes very chaotic and it may
Right.
become biased. So that's why the best method is to inform your ward office and then through them take a transfer.
Okay. So only in case of any kind of emergency or any kind of complication that may develop, there is a chance of a transfer of a patient.
Correct,
But
correct.
just for
And
change of
sometimes
facility,
they also help, so you can always put in a request if you want a preferential transfer, which is not emergency, but you want to still go to a expert. Hello, can you hear me, Rashi?
yes, yes, yes. We just lost you for a few seconds, but you're back.
I know there's a call coming, yeah, that's why.
Yeah. You can go ahead.
Yeah, so you can sometimes get a preferential transfer, but
Okay.
most of the people, we are all trying to, conserve the bed. So,
Right.
in the transfer, sometime, the beds get blocked. So it is best to transfer the most critically ill patients into the right facility. So this is
Right.
what is the focus of all of us right now.
So you should leave it to the doctor's prerogative rather than
Discretion.
enforcing anything, so that they know the
Correct,
best
correct,
what the system is like and where you should be going actually.
correct,
So
correct.
of course we can see all the preparation that's on your face with your entire cover. But in general, as a hospital, what kind of preparation do you need to do to accept COVID patients, and what kind of preps have you been doing every day as a stand, like the last 3 or 4 months?
Correct, correct. So our
To
entire
take care
world
of
of
your patients,
hospital.
your staff, yourself, everyone.
Correct. So the entire hospital, has turned now topsy-turvy. If you look at hospital management before 23rd March and today, there's a total change in that. So in fact, everything
I'm
has
sure.
become inverse. So we are accepting lesser patients. We have tried to, create space everywhere. So we're maintaining a lot of social distancing. Right from the entry point of the hospital, we are triaging patients for, symptoms related to COVID, so that we could, pick them up and they do not pass it on internally. Each and every staff is screened periodically. Then infrastructure, I told you we are geared up with this negative pressure rooms. So our
Yes.
air conditioning system of the hospital we have changed quite a lot. Then we are gearing up with our inventories related to medicine, drugs, keeping the staff motivated. Transport of
That
the
would be a
staff
big
is a big,
challenge. I know of so many healthcare workers who have been undergoing a lot of depression because of these kind of situations. I mean, uh, it
correct.
gets very harrowing to be in those PPEs all day long and then keep catering to these patients, and it's not
Correct. So
very very
we have
comfortable.
started motivational Mondays. So we are doing yoga sessions for our staff. Then we even speak to their family members because many of them are not ready to send
No,
their
yes, of course, of
relatives
course.
or people for to work.
To work,
Transport is a very
yes,
big problem, but now hopefully
yes,
it is solved with this e-pass and railway opening up a bit
right.
for the
And I
medical
believe you have
workers.
your own buses also that you've been shuttling around for your staff.
Yeah, so we had done a tie-up with BST bus, and BST was doing a fantastic job. So they were helping us to transport even from the remotest area to our hospital,
Yeah,
and
that's
many
lovely.
hospitals took advantage of that. So
Yes.
this is how we have been running. Even food, we open a mask only to eat food. Otherwise, we are all masked most of the
Yes.
time. And
Yes, I
people
know.
in the
I've been
COVID
talking to
unit,
some doctors who say that they go to the washroom, drink water, eat something, and then wear their PPEs, and they know they not cannot do anything else for the next like eight
yeah,
or nine
6 hours.
hours.
So each
Yeah.
one of them is on the 6 hour duty. And so we run 4 shifts. So our cost
Yes.
have also gone up significantly now. But nevertheless, it's for the good cause. So that's what,
Right.
is keeping all us going.
So, I mean, of course, we've already covered what are the processes and all. I mean, for the personal protection for the hospital staff as well as the patients. Anything extra that you need to advise to even patients or people who are outside who are quarantining at home? Any other precautions, or you've started those home care systems as well for COVID care patients who are remote consulting for home?
So we have not fully started the remote consulting, but all our
Okay.
OPDs are now on Skype. So
Okay.
they can connect to us through Skype, and
Okay.
we do consulting for our follow-up patients through that. And when you are at home, the most important thing is, you keep yourself motivated. If you get corona, that's not the end of it.
Right.
And, don't take it like your death certificate. Be positive, and gradually you will overcome it, because 85 to 90% people come out of corona without any problem. And if you are younger, the better it is.
So I have a question coming in from one of the doctors here who ask why are some patients exposed to virus are still COVID negative by PCR and antibody or antigen titer, COVID positive
Yeah.
by PCR and negative by antibody antigen, or COVID negative by PCR and positive by antibody antigen?
So it's a very interesting thing. See, this COVID virus behaves differently in different people. So it
Yes.
remains active into your system for some longer time. So it remains in a dormant stage. So if you do RT-PCR, which is a throat swab, many of the time, you may still pick up a viral RNA over there. And the kits that we use are so sensitive that they will give you RT-PCR positive result or an antigen positive result. And the antibody may still not have developed in your body, because it
Right.
takes anywhere between one
About
month to 3 months
three
to
weeks
get
to
a
1 month, I believe. Yeah. Okay.
correct, correct. So if you, it depends on which period do you pick up to do the test. So very important to choose the right time to do the testing.
Yeah, and you're getting a call again. I guess.
Yes, yes.
So, also with respect to rate capping, there are a lot of questions about rates, hospital bed rates. So, is there some
Correct,
capping
correct.
method that is being used by the BMC at present?
Yeah, so on 21st of May, most of the big hospitals, we received a notification of government stating that the rates in the COVID units are to be followed. So if a hospital has a ICU, then there are two types of rate. One is rupees 9,000, which includes bed charges, routine medicine, diagnostic, doctor's visit, and few other things, investigations, some of the routine investigations, which you have to give in either 9,000 rupees if the patient is ventilated and 7,000 rupees per day if the patient is non-ventilated.
Okay.
And if you have a ward
That's an
bed,
ICU bed on a normal basis.
yeah, it's an
Sorry.
ICU bed,
So
7,000
that's
and
probably
9,000.
lower than what your other, normal ICU bed rate is.
Correct, correct. So this is
I
a
believe
highly
that's
subsidized
10,000
rates.
rupees a day.
Yeah, so it is highly subsidized, but they have made some exclusions in it. Like say if you use some high-end drugs or you do high-end test,
Yes.
or if you do which is not related to corona, like say if somebody comes with a comorbid condition which is not related to corona, so then all those things will go into exclusions. And similarly for wards, it is 4,000 rupees.
Okay. Okay, so that's a good campaign because there was a lot of hue and cry earlier about the kind of bills that people were generating.
Correct,
So,
because there was a lot of confusion. What was happening was nobody was aware how to deal with this.
yes.
So people were using all different types of PPEs, different type of protective gears, or some or the other way to dispose of waste material and stuff like that. So people were not aware, and all this was getting charged to the patient. So
Patient,
now with this,
yes.
there has been some uniformity in the charging.
That's brilliant. So, now people are not, who are earlier scared of such huge bills coming out, there's a complete transparent process. And
Correct,
only the
correct. So
medicines that are being used extra would be charged extra, or any kind of extra ventilator or anything required would be charged extra. Otherwise, they're all
right,
capped. Even
right,
private hospitals all have a capping to their rates now. Because there was a question earlier which came in, which asked about rate capping. So I think that kind of answers that person's question as well. Also, what about huge scarcity of resources? So we know that there's a scarcity of whether they are beds or ventilators or medicines. So how
correct.
are you
So
dealing
each
with that bit?
So every resource, now we realize is very precious. Okay, so
Yes.
bed is the most precious resource today,
Yes.
and same is true with the ventilators. Luckily, our facility, is quite well equipped in terms of ventilator technology, equipments, and also we didn't face much of a challenge, to be honest to you. But yeah, many hospitals, many of my friends are there, colleagues are there, so they all have been sharing this that to find the number of ventilators to
Right.
cater is been a big problem.
So
But
are
for
hospitals
us that
buying
was
more
not.
ventilators, or I'm sure a big setup like you already have enough. But
So we had enough. Some people have adopted the strategy of ventilator pooling. So many, like corporate hospitals or smaller hospitals, they have pooled together the ventilator, and a ICU facility is created at a one particular location. So then
okay,
it saves onto the resource. That is one strategy
resources.
some have adopted. Some people have adopted the strategy of getting it on rentals. So you
Right.
nowadays, nobody wants to invest into capex. So
Right.
many have gone into the rental model for it. And another thing which was into a big problem was medicines. So there
Right.
has been always scarcity of medicines which we were that is gradually getting addressed. I have a news that maybe by next week, other companies like Mylan, Reddy's, Jubilant, they will also be coming up with the remdesivir. So this all
Yeah,
we are
because
seeing
so
in
far there's
papers.
hetero, and people have been sending out messages about how it's so difficult to find them and how there's black market
Correct.
trade going on and all of those things about the
Correct.
drugs.
So FDA has also done a great job. It has tried to, curtail this now. They have been raiding many places where there has been hoarding of medicines. Plus now this Jubilant and my Reddy's and Mylan coming in, I hope that we'll not face, problem. And the
The
second
situation
thing,
would
one
get better in terms of even access to medicines and all those
Yes, yes,
injectables.
yes. It will
That's
get better, and people need to use it judiciously. I'm
yes,
seeing many small places, or even in moderately sick patient, people are just given tocilizumab or they're giving remdesivir. It need not be given to each and every patient. So you need to
right.
understand, the indications for these
The
medicines.
requirement,
So
yes,
there,
yes.
yeah. So but everybody is trying everything right now.
So how does it work? I'm sure, your hospital would be one exception, but do people really get their own drugs and come if they have to, or is it available through the general
No,
route of the
now.
hospital or the hospital
So
pharmacy?
So most of the hospitals, means is the FDA mandate initially was that you required a prescription, you required a Aadhaar card, you required a strong justification, and then these drugs were given. Because at that point of time, remdesivir and tocilizumab, no, they were given on compassionate grounds. That means they were not proven drug as a therapy for corona. But now gradually, people are accepting as a proven drug, so you can actually now order it at a simple inventory in your in your hospital. You need not, go through this tedious process. But many people are admitted in smaller setups where they do not have their own
Do
pharmacy.
not have.
So then they are sending with handwritten prescriptions to get it from either bigger hospital or distributor or, from
Yeah,
other
yeah, I know
places.
of stories. People have required it in a town B, and they've met halfway, driving for six hours, and got the drug and come back to
Correct.
rescue the patient.
So some nursing homes have this story right now also because they do not have their own inventories or storage. But through distributors, fairly now it is available.
Um, Also, so what about the other services within the hospital? I mean, of course, COVID is one bit, but people don't stop falling sick, people don't stop having heart attacks, people don't stop having babies. So, is it safe for people to generally still come into a hospital for other services? And how do you take the safeguard the rest of the day? What's the process for doing the same?
Yeah, so there's a very interesting thing, now most of the people are scared, actually to come to hospital, which is the
Yes.
normal psyche of most people. So, there's a need to do a lot of social marketing, social awareness about, the safety in the hospital. So I'll tell you what we do at our place. We have got, most of the planned admissions, we are doing COVID test in advance. So we know that, the status of the patient, and we have segregated the COVID and non-COVID areas clearly. So there's separate entrance, there's a separate lift for it, separate manpower. The food to the COVID unit goes in disposable plates. Here we use the routine cutlery, and even the linen or the the stuff that we use for the patient is all disposable. So we actually use it only one time in the
Right.
COVID unit, and the other places it's working as routine.
So,
So
resources
and
are completely different for both.
yeah, so we have tried to segregate the resources, and then our doctors also speak to them. They try to instill confidence to the patient that don't worry, this is also a type of a phase which is going to go away, and
Right.
whatever is a routine thing needs to be done has to be done. Especially deliveries and all, you cannot stop.
You cannot stop. Right. So there is a marked demarcation physically as well as operationally.
Correct.
There is a clear demarcation between the COVID areas and non-COVID areas.
Yeah, so that this is our in the best interest we try to do. However, if somebody still develops, at times it may happen, that you land up in a non-COVID area and you still need to go to a COVID area. Then that's sheer luck, because in spite of best effort, sometimes it can happen too.
Right. Okay. Also, with regards to insurance. So, at this point in time, what about insurance related to COVID as well as non-COVID? The documentation and how is the process? Is it smooth or what are the hiccups that people are facing?
Yeah, so a lot of challenges now in documentation, especially in the COVID section. Non-COVID is routine as usual, but in
Okay.
COVID section, we find like say the relatives are quarantined. Nobody is there to sign the documents, give the documents.
Right.
Then at times, there are bedside procedures like ABG done, ECG done, glucose test done. Now their reports we cannot bring out of the COVID unit and handle it because our staff may also get infected. Then their medical records also may be lying inside the COVID unit. So these are the challenges which are there. We are trying to overcome. We are using some fumigation techniques. We are seeing the good results. We have got in UV light irradiators in which we keep our papers.
Documents and
But
all.
there are still no voices, I would say, because a bunch of paper will not be useful. Individual papers are getting irradiated. That's fine, but that takes some time. So these are the problems which we are currently facing.
So, but insurance is still covering the COVID patients. So, there is a
Yeah,
possibility they
insurance
can.
companies, I don't think there is a issue. They are trying to help COVID patients, but they also have problems at their end because people may not be available in offices. There are many people still working from home, and they don't have their signing authorities, and they have their own problems at the insurance end also. But I don't see by and large people are getting denied. Even if cashless doesn't happen, even they try to help in reimbursement.
Reimbursements. So somewhere down the line, once they're fully active and operational, the reimbursement should come
Yeah,
back to the patient.
both the things will happen. Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know. Also, what about? I mean, there are questions, of course, coming in. One is that is it true that kids are safe from this virus?
So by and large, what we have seen is that kids up to 10, 12 years, we have not seen too many infections in our country as well as in the worldwide literature. So I would say or believe rather that they would be safe from this virus.
There's another question, clinical question. A cold of almost 20 to 25 days and blocked nose. Is it important to get a COVID test done?
Yeah, but I would say that wait if you get fever because cold may not be the only symptom for it.
And there's another question regards to fever. I think
Yeah,
we've lost you again for a second. Yeah. Another question regards to fever. Of course, that kind of answers that fever is not the only symptom. There could be any other symptoms. They could be asymptomatic, or they could have a diarrhea, or just a cough, or just irritation with throat. It could be anything, not just fever. Is not the only symptom with COVID.
correct. So multiple symptoms come up. It depends on which system gets affected first. So
Yes.
we are looking at multiple type of signs and symptoms. But most commonly, what we are seeing is people do have some sort of a upper respiratory, that is throat or a nose, or I would say voice or something related to upper respiratory tract. They have a symptom, and fever does come. So fever is because this virus is something foreign in your body. So your
Yes.
body definitely reacts and you get fever at times. So you need to keep a watch on your temperature, and nowadays you get these pulse oximeters. So keep it
Yes.
handy if you can, and monitor your pulse oximeter rate. If it is less than 95% saturation, then there is something that you need to worry about.
Also, another question is once you get infected by corona and cured, can you get infected again? So, do the
So
antibodies
there's
stay?
a
How long do they stay?
So the answer actually lies in future. We have not seen it, but I
Yes.
would say that I would believe rather that it should be relatively permanent immunity. But still, there are a lot of studies going on, and some studies preliminary are saying that this immunity is only short-lived. So I don't know how short-lived it will be, and if
Yeah,
that is
that's what they're
true,
saying.
then
Papers are saying it's about 3 months, is what they have
correct.
seen in most
So
places.
if that is true, then we are all in for a very, very long stay along with Corona.
Yes, yes. Just keep yourself protected as long as you can, whether again or ever again and again and again.
Correct.
So, some precautions, if you can highlight, if somebody in the society or the building is tested positive, what are the precautions, any extra precautions that should be taken, kind of
Yeah, so
fumigation or sanitizing and all of that?
correct. So now, BMC has made very liberal guidelines. So if you have a building which is standalone, or if it's a big society, then most of the time only the flat or the place where the person is staying is only quarantined. The remaining part of the building are kept open. Previously, they used to seal or
The entire society,
keep
then
the
they make up
entire
one
society
building.
quarantined. Yeah, so
Yes,
that is not happening. And they come to your house and they do cleaning of your house with sodium hypochlorite solution.
yes.
So that helps to kill the coronavirus. And you can do, similar fumigation or similar cleaning in the common areas like lifts or lobbies or frequently touched areas. So that
I
you
think a lot
can
of societies
do.
are doing that as a common practice also every couple of days in a week where they're doing this
Correct.
sodium hypochlorite solution.
Yeah, so you can use sodium hypochlorite, and if it's somebody at your home, you should ensure that that person is going to stay in a separate room with a attached toilet bathroom. So it should not be common to other members of the family. Their clothes and utensils, as far as possible, use utensils which are disposable, so they don't need to wash it. Clothes you can put it in a bleach like ala or something, and then it can be washed. So that is one more way to protect. And the secretary of the building, generally they are advised that you need to be in touch with all the other society members. If they develop symptoms related to corona, they are reportable. So then you need to report it to your BMC ward office.
Okay, super. Thanks for a wonderful insight, Dr. Dhaval. If anybody
Thank
has
you.
any more questions, please feel free to just jot them down right away and we'll be happy to answer it and take it on. And it's been a very insightful session to get to know what a big setup like KDA is doing in this time. And of course, you guys have been doing a fabulous job. And I mean, it's always like everybody's in this area, in this vicinity, wants to go to KDA for any kind of issue that they have. Very good doctors, a fabulous set of team of management, and all of that. So, thank you so much. Any other questions, you can
Thank you,
always
Rashi.
message me and we'll take it on. And Dr. Dhaval,
Okay.
everybody would love to see your face, but this is what it is.
I know you can see my profile later on, but I can't remove
Yes.
it right now. Yeah, take
Okay.
care.
Thank you so much for
Okay.
joining us today.
Okay, take care, guys. Bye.